Hello everyone, this tutorial is for everybody in the Scion XP community that has first generation XPs. I've recently had created these dash cutouts for the cutouts to the left and right of the steering wheel, and by popular request I have a lot of people asking for this model. So what I'm doing is uploading the model for free to everybody, and I'm making this quick little tutorial that'll show you how to cut holes out, simple holes like this, so you can install your own switches. Now, I'm not going to be doing a tutorial on how to do advanced holes like this. This audio control and my bass knob were a little bit more difficult to make, but maybe I'll make a video on doing that in the future. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you how you can cut some holes really easily with zero CAD skills. It doesn't matter if you've never touched a CAD program in your entire life. This program is so easy. Just watch and you're going to see. First thing you're going to do is download the STL files from Thingiverse. I'll have a link in the YouTube video description. Alright, let's scroll down here. We're going to come over to Files, and you can see both STLs for the left and right cubbyhole. So go ahead and download both of these files. I already have them downloaded, so I'm not going to click this. One thing that you might want to get, this isn't really like a requirement, but if you have one of these, it'll help. One of these guys, a digital caliper. If you have a 3D printer, you should own one of these, and you could get one on Amazon for as little as $8. This is a little one. They sell larger ones, but you're definitely going to want to get one of these. If you don't have one of these, you can use a ruler. It just might not be as accurate. So let's go over to TinkerCAD. So I'm also going to link this in the description, TinkerCAD.com. If you don't already have a TinkerCAD account, it is absolutely free and very, very, very easy. Just go to TinkerCAD.com and create a free account if you already don't have one. So pause the video here, go create your account, and come back. So let's go ahead and import our models. I'm going to come up here to import. Then we're going to choose our file. So let's take the left side first, and we're going to open that up. Import. Alright, let's import the other model just so we have them both in here. Alright. So that's it. There's both of our knockouts. We can actually spin this upside down and check them out too from this angle. So, we want to cut some holes so we can insert our switches, and then when this 3D prints, we'll already have the holes there. You could drill the holes, but I really don't suggest that. Drilling into 3D plastic, you're going to wind up messing up the, around the holes. It can get a little shoddy. You might just wind up throwing your print away. I suggest taking a couple of minutes and just doing this and then 3D printing your object. So, I'm going to switch screens. We're going to take our caliper, and we're going to take the switch that we would like to insert, and we're just going to measure the switch where it's going to insert into the dashboard. So we're going to take this, and we're right around 19 millimeters, but if we rotate it to where this little bump is, we're at 20 millimeters. I'm going to make this a 20 millimeter hole. Might even want to make it a 19.5 millimeter hole. It's all going to depend on what it's all going to depend on how your printer prints. Sometimes filament expands a little bit when you're printing, so these holes wind up being a tiny bit smaller if your printer's not calibrated properly. But, for something like this, let's just go with 20 millimeters. I think that's going to be fine. Worst case scenario, if we have to enlarge it a little bit, we can always take a file and file that out. So, knowing that I need a 20 millimeter hole, we're going to come over here to our basic shapes. We're just going to be paying attention to these couple at the top. These first two are going to be transparent boxes that we use for cutting an image. Anything that's transparent in TinkerCAD can be combined with a non-transparent object to cut that hole in it. And so I'm going to select this, and we're going to drag this right over. So there we go. There's our circle. That's what we got to start with. So you can see this measures 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters, and it's also 20 millimeters on the height. So good news is we need a 20 millimeter hole, but let's pretend for a moment we need a 22 millimeter hole just so we can change some dimensions here. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this corner. We're going to change this measurement to 22, and we're going to change this measurement here to 22. Now the base of this object is 22 by 22 millimeters. We're not really worried about the height right now. We could change the height by selecting this right here and dragging it upwards. You can also click this and manually type a number in. The height doesn't really matter here because we're just cutting a hole, and this is only a couple millimeters thick here. So now we're going to drag this to where we would like the hole to be placed. And let's see. Let's put it about right here. Okay. Now, you can see that this shape, if I zoom in, looks a little bit jagged. You can see it's like low poly, kind of jagged. If I come over here to sides, we can see this circle only has 20 sides. We can go up to 64 sides, and you see this smooths out. And that's about it. Now, let's say we want to put 3 switches into this, and they're all 22 millimeters, just like the circle we have here. With this object selected, we can see it's highlighted in blue, so it's selected. On my keyboard, I'm going to hit Control C and then Control V to copy and paste. And there we go. We have another object here. Let's see. Now we want to make sure, remember, the back side of the switch is going to be smaller than the front side because we have that lip. So make sure when you're spacing these, you leave a little bit of space so that your the lip of your switch isn't on top of each other. So you can either measure it out and, figure out what your exact distance is. If you want to figure out an exact distance, it's kind of easy. We can come over here. You see how these two objects are butted next to each other? And right now our snap grid at the bottom right is set for 1 millimeter. So maybe I want these switches to be about 5 millimeters apart. I can change this to 5, and we're just going to hit the left button on our keyboard, and that's going to scooch 5 millimeters away. You can hit it a second time and it'll scooch 10 millimeters away. And there we go. We have our 2 switches. So let's do a third switch now. We're going to, with this object selected, we're going to Command C and Command V. Let's line this up. Alright, so I'm going to change this to 0.1 millimeter so we can actually kind of fine tune this a little bit more. So let's get that lined up there. Now I'm going to change this back to 1 millimeter. And we're going to go over 22 millimeters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. Since the object's 22 millimeters wide, if you go 22 millimeters over, these will be exactly 22 millimeters apart. Now I can switch this back to 5. We can go 1, 2, that's it. 10 millimeters apart. So we got 10 millimeters apart here, 10 millimeters apart here. I'm going to stop there. We can add an additional switch, or we could do a square cutout. But I just want to show you. We're basically done. Like, you've done all the hard work. We're done. So now I'm going to take my mouse, I'm going to click and drag and then let go. We're going to draw a rectangle to basically highlight all of these items. So I'm going to come up here. Now, one thing you want to be careful of is if you have another object nearby, you could accidentally select that object. You can see now that object is selected too. If you do accidentally do that, you can hold the Shift button and select the object you don't want, and that'll disappear. Additionally, if there's an object you do want to add that wasn't added, you can hold the Shift button and click it. It will add that object. But we don't want that in there. We're not trying to combine. So we have everything selected. We have these 3 transparents, and we have the 1 solid object. All I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here. This button is for grouping, so we're going to hit that group button. And bam, it's done. You're done. You've done everything. You cut your holes. This thing is ready to print. So now I can go up here to export. One thing you might want to do is you might want to give this a custom name, because when you create a new project, it's just going to give you a random word. So you might want to call this, left side grill or something, or left side switch panel, something like that. But go ahead, hit your export button and export your STL or OBJ, and that's it. Go ahead and print the file. Now, if we want to do a square cutout, maybe you have a square switch that you want to do, it's basically the same thing. I could come over here. We're going to select this square box. We're going to drop the box to the side here. Now, if you drop it on top of the model, the box will appear up top and not totally at 0, so you'd actually have to just go in afterwards and sink the object in. So I just always kind of default to putting it to the side of the object and then placing it. So let's go ahead and drag this in. So, let's turn the 5 millimeter off and get this back to 1 millimeter so we can move this around a little easier. All right, so let's pretend we need a switch cut that's, let's just say it's 15 millimeters by 20 millimeters. We can see this box is 20 by 20, and it's also 20 millimeters tall. So let's go ahead and change this to 15 millimeters. Oh, I typed 25, not 15. Whatever, sorry. Fat fingers. All right, so we got 15 by 20 millimeters here now. We can scooch this up so it's a little bit more centered. And now we can select all objects. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to click, drag, and let go. And we have all the objects selected, and I'm going to hit this button again, and bam, we joined the objects or grouped the objects, and now we have that square hole. If I spin this around, we can see what it would look like from the front. The other thing you can do too, if you want to see what it looks like from the front without, spinning all the way around, we can rotate this object. My mouse is being a little sticky today. You could also come up here and manually type in minus 180, and hit enter, and bam. And, nice and flat on the plane, and we can view the object like this. Obviously, you're not going to want to print it like this. You're going to want this facing down when you print it. But yeah, that's all you got to do, fellas. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Good luck with making this panel. And if you're posting it on social media, please tag me so I can check out your work. Have a good one, everybody.